I have figured it out. I put the tripod on the bed. So let's get into this. I have my laptop again because this is where my questions will be. And I will be grabbing like physical books. So let me get out of this. Okay, here we are. So, welcome back to the Daily Grays. Today is Vlogmas Day 18. I was going to do a Goodreads wrap-up, but I don't know about that. I mean, how about this? How about we kind of, since it's kind of like this is an end of the year tag. So, it's going to be like a whole bunch of questions. I have a total of 35 questions. So, why don't we go to Goodreads, we'll do the reading wrap up, and then we'll get into the questions. In total, for the amount of pages that I read 21,819 pages, and I read a total of 41 books. My shortest book was A Court of Frost and Starlight, which was 272 pages. And my longest book, because I have not finished Kingdom of Ash, is Born of Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which was 770 pages. My average book length in 2024 was 532 pages. So out of like the Goodreads whole thing, so the most shelved book was A Court of Thorns and Roses. So 5,747,968 people also shelved that book. And then the least shelved book within my read books would be Cinderella is Faking It, which is 10,756 people shelved that book. My average rating for 2024 was 4.7 stars. My highest rated on Goodreads is A Court of Mist and Fury. My first review of the year is from Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm going to just read that little review for you. It says, "Oh my god," with the exclamation marks. The plot, 6 stars. The spice, off the flippin' charts. Like, oh! And the ending? Oh my god, the ending. Read this series for the love of all books in the rest of the world. Read this series. And then it brings into my 2024 books. So obviously we have the Blood and Ash series. We have the Lore of Olympus series. We have the Flesh and Fire series, the Throne of Glass series, except for Kingdom of Ash. We have A Little Life by Hana Yanagihara. We have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. We have the Rebel Blue Branch series, not the third or fourth one. The fourth one's not out. The third one I haven't read, but it's Done and Dusted and Swift and Saddled. We have Cinderella is Faking It. We have the ACOTAR series. And then we have Middle of the Night. And then my last review of the year was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. I rated that book 5 stars. I said, OMG, exclamation mark. Holy shit, exclamation mark. That ending few chapters did not see it coming, like, holy shit. So that was my review of that. Okay, so that's my little Goodreads wrap up. So now to the end of the year tag. This is my first year doing it, and I'm wanting to do this kind of like every year. So obviously we'll have like pretty much the same, like there'll be some same questions, but then I'll add some new ones in as the years go on. So question 1. Actually, I should probably keep my Goodreads up. Although I'm pretty sure I know damn well what this one is. So let me move this over. Okay, most disappointing book. Now, I've read a total of 41 books this year, and honestly, out of all of those books, let me grab it. Just because of, like, what I've read from this author before, this was just, like, what the fuck? And, you know, I was so excited. It's about a kid literally getting, like, kidnapped in the night, and I thought it was going to be super great, and it ended up being, like, heavily boring and just, like, easily predictable. So we have Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. This will not be staying on my bookshelf. It does not deserve a spot on my bookshelf. It was a 1 star. If I could have given it 0, I would have. Yeah, so it says praise for Middle of the Night. I've read all of Riley Sager novels, and The Middle of the Night is my new favorite. It says in the latest jaw-dropping thriller from New York Times bestseller author Riley Sager, a man must contend with the long-ago disappearance of his childhood best friend and the dark secrets lurking just beyond the safe confines of his picture-perfect neighborhood. The worst thing to ever happen on Hemlock Circle occurred in Ethan Marsh's backyard. One July night, 10-year-old Ethan and his best friend and neighbor, Billy, fell asleep in a tent set up on a manicured lawn in a quiet, quaint New Jersey cul-de-sac. In the morning, Ethan woke up alone. During the night, someone had sliced the tent open with a knife and taken Billy. He was never seen again. 30 years later, Ethan was reluctantly returned to his childhood home. Plagued by bad dreams and insomnia, he begins to notice strange things happening in the middle of the night. Someone seems to be roaming the cul-de-sac at odd hours, and signs of Billy's presence keep appearing in Ethan's backyard. Is someone playing a cruel prank, or has Billy, long thought to be dead, somehow returned to Hemlock Circle? The mysterious occurrences prompt Ethan to investigate what really happened that night, a quest that reunites him with former friends and neighbors and leads him into the wood that surround Hemlock Circle. Woods where Billy claimed ghosts roamed and where a mysterious institute does clandestine research on a crumbling estate. The closer Ethan gets to the truth, the more he realizes that no place, be it quiet forest or suburban street, is completely safe, and that the past has a way of haunting the present. Now, it sounds like a really good book, and that is the reason, a reason why I bought this book was, one, it was Riley Sager, and I really do enjoy his writing, and 2, it sounded like a really good book, and so I picked it up, and it sat on my shelf for a little bit, and then I did the October readathon type situation where it was, generator picks how many pages I read, and, I got to a certain part in it, I read outside of that video, and it ended up being super disappointing and honestly just so, yeah, it was so boring. I'm sorry. So it's gonna go to probably the thrift store, or if I find a little free library, because everybody has different opinions on books. Obviously, there are people who agree with you, and then there's people who disagree, who think this book is absolutely amazing and is worth a 5-star rating. Yeah. So I'm hoping that somebody else can enjoy this book, or let's say they read it on their Kindle or listened to it and they really liked the book and they wanted a physical version, and then they just happen to go to a thrift store or the little free library and they find it. End up being that treasure for that person. So it won't stay on my bookshelf because I won't recommend it to anybody. Because I personally really just did not like it, and the people that are around me, for the most part, read and like the same things that I do. And so yeah. So let's move on. So the most surprising book. Now this one, I would have to say, plot wise, everything that went down. I don't have the book in here with me. It's in my room and I really don't want to get up and go get it. But the fact that it was such a crazy plot turn that I was not expecting, and that so much happened that I was not ready for, I would have to say Tower of Dawn was pretty surprising, especially because everybody talked about how it's such so boring, so drawn out, too descriptive, it literally makes you want to fall asleep. It's a book you can just skip in the series. And personally, I thought the complete opposite. And this is what I'm talking about. It's somebody could literally be thinking oh wow, I'm just gonna skip this book. This book is not worth it. And then I went and read it, and I think it's absolutely amazing, and I rated it 5 stars. So in that aspect, I would have to say Tower of Dawn was probably one of the most surprising books of this year. If not that, then I would have to say, honestly, the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I really hadn't dabbled into country western-y books. I wasn't really feeling that for the longest time. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try out this book. So I bought it and I read it, and I've been enthralled with this series forever. If you give me a chance to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. It is my Roman Empire, where others is ACOTAR. And trust me, don't get me wrong, I do talk about ACOTAR quite a bit, and same with like Blood and Ash. I do talk about Blood and Ash quite a bit, but the fact that like this opened my eyes to what like a good Western romance can be. And so that's when I've gone down the rabbit hole, and now I have Wild Love by Elsie Silver, and I have access to, because I told my mom about the books, and she has another Elsie Silver series. But no. And I think the romance books that I'm going to be talking about on here is like, I don't know if I'm going to go and grab them because it's such weirdly like put up there that like it can get pushed back in like fall. So I don't really know if I want to go through all of that bullshit. I might, if it comes to a question and I really want to show the book. It's just because I can look up and get like a picture and do like an overlay over the video. Next is most overhyped book. So a book that has been overly overhyped and it just kind of fell flat. So for me, this is difficult because honestly, I don't really think I have a most overhyped book, because even Middle of the Night was not overhyped for me. So like if Middle of the Night was overhyped and I read it and it was that the piece of shit that I felt it was, then yeah, I would have to say that. But it wasn't. So let me see. No. You know what? I do have one. I'm sorry. Everybody said that this was like their favorite book of the Throne of Glass series, and it was so amazing. I'm sorry, but Throne of Glass, the book Throne of Glass, was so overhyped, and I had such a hard time convincing myself to finish the series. And I'm so glad I did convince myself to finish the series, because so like after that it got immensely better. Assassin's Blade was amazing. Throne of Glass sucked. Just saying. I'm sorry. I know that's very controversial because a lot of people love Throne of Glass, but everybody has the right to their opinion because everybody thinks different about books. So yeah, that was pretty overhyped. I did not enjoy as much as I enjoyed the rest of the series. So, favorite book couples. Okay, so I have a few. So we have the Blood and Ash series, obviously. Castile and Poppy, Chef's Kiss. It's like the prince and princess of like, well, Castile's like the prince of like Shadow Daddies. But then you have You Go Back in Time, and then you have Niktos and Serafina. He is the king of Shadow Daddies. Yeah, so absolutely 100% love those guys. They are amazing, and I think that because like I liked Feyre and Rhysand, if I had to pick favorite, I would say the Blood and Ash couples were higher than Feyre and Rhysand. Biggest crush. Ooh, that one is hard because Castile might be in with the favorite couples. But honestly, I think it's tied between Castile and Cassian. I'm sorry. It's very true. Very true. Saddest book. Everybody knows this by now. It's in here. This thing. I personally am not gonna drag that out because this is not easy to open and it is very antique. It's a Little Life by Hana Yanagihara. I reread it this year twice, and all I gotta say is it broke me to my core, and like the mental turmoil I went through is absolutely crazy. Yeah, so that's the saddest book by a freaking landslide. Happiest book I read this year. I would have to say, huh? I would have to say this is really hard. Happiest book I read this year. It would either be any of the two Lila Sage books, so Done a Desert or Swift and Saddled, or in a sense of like throughout a series, I would have to say what is it? I always get like the words mixed up, so hold on. A Court of Frost and Starlight, the little Christmas novella book of the series. It had my heart in a chokehold. Just saying. Okay. The most frustrating book of the year. Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass. Most frustrating book of the year was Throne of Glass. I stand by it, and I will always stand by it. It was fucking Throne of Glass. Because you want to know why it's so frustrating? It's because I couldn't understand why people loved it so much, and why I was having such a hard time getting through it. Okay. And if we wanted a new book on there, I would have to say, probably Born of Blood and Ash. I loved the book and it was a 5-star, but the ending, like the conflict, the build up was amazing. And it like half fell flat for me, and that was so frustrating because I was really looking forward to the war, and it did not meet up to like holy shit standards. It just met it just hit the, oh, that was a pretty good war scene. Like, you know. Longest book of the year. Obviously, my longest book is going to be Born of Blood and Ash, which was 770 pages. Shortest book of the year is Court of Frost and Starlight, 272 pages. My favorite cover of books I've read this year would have to be, honestly, any of the Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire. They're beautiful. I really do like Born of Blood and Ash's cover. Let me see. Well, you guys are gonna see them better if I put it as an overlay. So the Born of Blood and Ash cover is absolutely gorgeous. Most thought about book. That's really hard because if it said most thought about series would be Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire. But most thought about book, I would have to say, A Soul of Ash and Blood. When it's in Castiel's perspective, I think about that book a lot. I do. I very much so do. And if not that, and if we don't want to keep in the fantasy, it would have to be in the Lila Sage area. Just because I don't know, it's pretty good. Oh, or my mom has it, A Court of Silver Flames. I think about that book a lot too. So cringiest sex romance, or cringes and make me uneasy, and this book makes both of those categories, and it's Cinderella's Faking It. I'm sorry, but if it's written like if it's supposed to be YA and then you throw a whole bunch of like mediocre sex scenes in it, and to the point where it's practically like a 50 Shades of Grey book, but written word wise like a YA book, I'm sorry, but no, thank you, no, thank you. Honestly, that could honestly be it could be in the most disappointing book, the like most frustrating. That could be a contender in them. Best unpopular book. I don't know if this one works because I read mainly all popular books this year. I mean, Blood and Ash is not like insanely popular, and it's not like it has so many mixed reviews for the people who do like post videos about it, but I don't really see a whole lot of people talking about the Blood and Ash and Flesh and Fire series. So I'd have to say, I wouldn't say most best unpopular book. I say best unpopular series, which would be the Blood and Ash and Sister series, which is the Flesh and Fire series. The spiciest is going to be the same thing. Actually, not the Sister series, but Blood and Ash. Highest versus lowest on Goodreads versus my ratings. Let's see. So, out of the books that I have read, I would have to say between Middle of the Night and Throne of Glass would be contenders. Oh, actually, Middle of the Night beats out Throne of Glass for higher rating. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. All right. The stars lied. So Throne of Glass has 4.18, and I rated it a 2-star. So I would have to say that. Worst rated book out of all of mine compared to my high rating. I actually don't know. Maybe Cinderella's. No, because I don't know. I don't think I really honestly have one. Maybe Blood and Ash would technically work for that, but I could be very much so wrong. As a 4.22 out of 5-star. What about Kingdom of Flesh and Fire? It actually is higher rated than the first book. We're Two Queens. Crown of Gilded and Bones. Yeah, see, I mean, even Blood and Ash is technically a Soul of Ash Blood, actually. So, a lot of people actually don't like A Soul of Ash and Blood because it is in Castiel's. No, it's not. This is not the one I'm thinking of. No, it is. So this is in Castiel's perspective, and not a lot of people liked it. Just because it kind of went through everything you kind of already read, but it had so much more to it than just pretty much reliving what you've already read. It has a 3.90 average rating, and I rated it a 5-star. So I would have to say that one for the lowest version. Favorite quotes. So that one I'd have to grab my Kindle. But the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered. That one is one of my favorites. There's a lot in the Blood and Ash series, but I didn't have the Kindle version to like highlight that way, and then I had people who wanted to read the series, and so I don't really like highlight or annotate in there. So I don't. I love you. Can you grab my water for me, please? Or either the water or the Sprite. So favorite quotes, I don't know, because I don't really have any of that mapped out. Maybe I will do something with that for the Blood and Ash and Sister series, because there's a lot of quotes in there that I know for sure, and I will do something with that once my friend is done reading it, because then they'll have to just deal with it. Deal with slight annotating in the book. Thank you. Okay, but listen to this. Only his memories can save her. A great primal power has risen. The Queen of Flesh and Fire has become the primal of blood and bone, the true primal of life and death. And the battle Castiel, Poppy, and their allies have been fighting has only just begun. Gods are awakening across Elysium and the mortal realm, readying for the war to come. But when Poppy falls into stasis, Kaz, which is Castiel, faces the very real possibility that the dire, unexpected consequences of what she is becoming to take her away from him. Kaz is giving some advice, though something he plans to cling to as he waits to see her beautiful eyes open once more. Talk to her. And so he does. He reminds Poppy of how their journey began, revealing things about himself that only Kieran knows in the process. But it's anybody's guess what she'll wake to, or exactly how much of the realm and Kaz will have changed when she does. And there's the ending part to it. It's crazy. You just gotta understand the love I have for this series. This is my number one series, is Blood and Ash. The next book is coming out in 2025, and I'm so excited! But I kind of want to read you guys the synopsis from Blood and Ash, just so you guys can see it. It goes, a maiden, chosen from birth to usher in the new era, Poppy's life has never been her own. The life of a maiden is solitary, never to be touched, never to be looked upon, never to be spoken to, never to experience pleasure. Waiting for the day of her ascension, she would rather be with the guards fighting back the evil that took her family, than preparing to be found worthy by the gods. But the choice has never been hers. A duty. The entire kingdoms rest on Bobby's on on Poppy's shoulders, something she's not even quite sure she wants for herself, because a maiden has a heart, and a soul, and longing. And when Hawk, a golden-eyed guard, honor-bound to ensure her ascension, enters her life, destiny and duty become tangled with desire and need. He incites her anger, makes her question everything she believes in, and tempts her with the forbidden. Sex. A kingdom, forsaken by the gods and feared by mortals. A fallen kingdom is rising once more, determined to take back what they believe is theirs through violence and vengeance. And as the shadow of those cursed draws closer, the line between what is forbidden and what is right becomes blurred. Poppy is not only on the verge of losing her heart and being found unworthy by the gods, but also her life, when every blood-soaked thread that holds her world together begins to unravel. It is romance, fantasy, romantasy, fantasy, romance, and dark romance. There's vampires, new adult fiction, and it's paranormal. And it has and then it has audiobooks. Show off. Yeah, it has vampires and werewolves. Yeah, kind of vampires and kind of werewolves, but still, it has vampires and werewolves, guys. Vampires and werewolves. How can you not like vampires and werewolves? Anyways, let's just move on. Most unique concepts. Oh, I don't really have one that fits in this for this year. But one book that I have read is Daisy Jones and the Six, and I honestly have never seen an author be able to pull that off as well as she did. And love that book. It's like one of my all time favorite standalone books. Scariest / most anxiety. So this one, again, not really for this year, but a book that I have read is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. That I had so much anxiety and was scared for my life reading that. Best and worst sequel. Worst second book of a series. We already know the answer. I read The Assassin's Blade first. Best second book in the series is A Court of Mist and Fury, or just because so much fucking happens. So many twists and turns that you just never know what's gonna happen next. So many things, just like your world breaks when her world breaks, and that would be a drum roll, please. Load. A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Listen, a betrayal, a choice, and a secret. I'm not gonna keep going into it because, like, obviously it spoils some shit. But a betrayal, a choice, a secret. Ooh. Yeah. Anyways, least favorite book. Obviously, Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. We know this. Favorite book of the year. That is a good question. Favorite book of the year. Huh. That is hard. Blood and Ash would probably, like, the book Blood and Ash was pretty damn good. I literally, like, cried. I laughed. I crossed my legs because of smuttiness. Like, I was shocked. I was excited. Oh my goodness. Like, so many roller coaster of emotions, and outwardly roller coaster of emotions. I literally screamed. Like I said, I threw my book. I literally threw my book across the room because of the ending that I loved. Because of the ending of that book, I literally threw it. Like, I wanted to throw that book so many times, and then I just didn't because I was like, no, it's fine, we're fine, it's fine, and like dropped it. The ending, the book got thrown. I was like, what? And like, phew, there goes the book. It didn't get damaged. It didn't get hurt. It's all good. The book is fine, but it did get thrown. So I would honestly, yeah, it has to be Blood and Ash. favorite new author, there is a tie. And I feel like what is going to then put a book over a book will have to be when ACOTAR is finished and I read Crescent City and also read Kingdom of Ash. But right now, it would be Jennifer L. Armentrout is tied with Sarah J. Maas. What book is on my nightstand? Tower of Dawn. I have not taken it off yet. But the book that will be on my nightstand is Kingdom of Ash. If I could meet any author, who would I want to meet? That is a really good question. Emily Henry, Lila Sage, Jennifer L. Armentrout, or Sarah J. Maas. Just because they are like in my top category of holy fucks, I love these. Yeah, I would want to meet them, talk to them, and that's about right. Surprising book to be on my shelf. Honestly, any of my dark romances. I have surprised everybody. So Haunting and Hunting Adeline. I think that one is the most surprised that everybody is. Most read author would be Jennifer L. Armentrout has beaten. Even if I finish Crescent City, it still beats Sarah J. Maas. Current read is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Drink of choice when I'm reading, it's either going to be water, soda, mimosa, energy drink version. I don't really drink when I read, so haven't tried it yet. Maybe I will. So, do I prefer Kindle or the physical book? Nighttime reading, I would rather have my Kindle. Even with like the reader lights, even the neck ones, it's just less comfortable. But any other time, I usually would rather read a physical book if it's floppy. That is a big thing for me. If I have to because I don't like to break my spines, which is a personal problem. I don't want to have to read like this. I want to be comfortable when reading, so. But I do read faster on my Kindle. Fictional character you would have tried to date in high school. Try to date in high school. Any of the males in the Lila Sage series? Obviously not the dad. Any of the brothers or, brother's best friend. In high school, somebody that I would love to date, any of those shadow daddies. Rhysand. Or Cassian, Cassian. Azrael. Castile. Kieran. Kieran is in the Blood and Ash series. He is a wolven. Yeah. That is the werewolf I'm talking about. And Nyktos. I like Nyktos. I like Nektas too, but the dragon. But I don't know if I want to pull Shrek and shit like that and fuck a dragon. Books I won't read. History books. I'm not going to go out of my way to just sit down and read a history book. I have the unabridged series of something. It is like a non-fiction or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to go out of my way to read a history book. But that's about it. Number of bookcases I own. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have a 5th one out in the living room. So I have 5 bookcases. Preferred place to read will either be my reading chair, my bed, or when it is sunny and really nice, hammock by my lake. Unapologetic fangirl. Obviously, I pretty much spent this whole ass video talking about Castile, Poppy, Nyktos, and Seraphina. I am fangirls of them. And that is it. That is every question I have read. Every question that I had for you guys. If you guys want to know what my TBR is, I'm doing 25 books for 2025. That is up already on YouTube. There is a sneak peek of it on TikTok, and nobody has seen it, which is really sad, but that's fine. It's not going to break my heart. It has broken my heart just a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that, okay? Not happening. We're not going to do it. We are not going to waller and weep over the fact that a video is not doing good when it's totally fine that a video is not doing good. Anyways, I do want to get the audiobook for Kingdom of Ash, but obviously I don't have money, and my library doesn't have an audiobook for it. They do have an ebook of it, but I already have the ebook because I have the bundle. But I want the audiobook because everybody says that it like transforms that book even more. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to be sad about that and just deal with the fact that I don't have the audiobook. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'm sorry I wasn't really looking at the camera much. It's because all my questions have been like it's right here. I need to get better at that, and I'm working on it. But thank you for watching, and if you like this video, there's a little button with that, so like a thumbs up, and press that, and you have liked the video. If you want to see more videos like this or any of like my baking or daily vlogs, press the subscribe button and then go to that little notification bell and press that, and then it'll give you an option of like what type of notifications you want. If you press all, you'll see all upcoming videos. So my ear is ringing like crazy. But yeah, thank you for watching the Daily Grays, and I'll see you next time. Bye!